Tonight we're diving deep into 3 gut-wrenching betrayals that will leave you questioning the masks people wear. First, a quiet night that ripped open a hidden double life and exposed a secret that had been simmering for years. Next, a friendship that seemed harmless at first, but slowly turned into a poisonous web of manipulation. Finally, a story of a childhood bully who resurfaced as a benefactor, reminding us that redemption can sometimes come from the most unexpected places. Brace yourself for raw emotion, honesty, and the strength to move forward. I was half asleep on the couch, scrolling aimlessly through his phone when a notification blinked on the screen. The name was unfamiliar, the message blunt, "Can't wait to see you tonight," followed by an address I instantly recognized as his coworker's apartment. My pulse raced, the room felt suddenly too small, and a cold dread settled over me. In that single instant, the illusion of our perfect 7-year marriage cracked, and I realized I had been living a lie for months, maybe even years. The silence that followed was deafening. We had built a life together for 7 years, tiny apartment, joint bank account, and dreams of a house with a garden. He was the reliable partner who never missed anniversaries, always fixed the leaky faucet, and sang along to my favorite playlists. Our friends praised our stability, and I truly believed we were constructing something unbreakable. That belief made the betrayal cut even deeper, because the man I thought I knew was suddenly a stranger hiding a secret life. The contrast between the public image and the hidden reality became my constant source of pain. Over the past year, subtle shifts began to paint a different picture. He started coming home later, always with a vague excuse about work, and his phone screen would flicker to black the moment I entered the room. His laughter sounded strained, his jokes edged with nervousness. I discovered receipts for upscale restaurants we never visited and caught a faint perfume lingering on his jacket. I told myself it was stress, not suspicion, convincing myself that I was overreacting. Looking back, those tiny red flags were the breadcrumbs leading to the truth. When I finally confronted him with the message, he tried to brush it off as a joke, but his eyes darted to the hallway where his phone buzzed again. He whispered, "She's a client," yet his tone betrayed a different story. I seized his laptop, opened the chat history, and found weeks of affectionate emojis, intimate plans, and photos of places we'd never been. The evidence was undeniable, the digital trail laid out like a courtroom exhibit. In that moment, the world I'd trusted crumbled, and the pain became starkly visible. I left the apartment that night with just a suitcase, my mind a storm of anger, sorrow, and disbelief. I filed for separation, moved into a friend's spare room, and began therapy to piece together my shattered sense of self. Months later, I started a new job, surrounded myself with supportive people, and slowly rebuilt confidence. The scar remains, but I now value honesty above all and trust my instincts again. Each sunrise reminds me that I survived, that I am stronger, and that I deserve a love built on truth. Now we shift to a seemingly harmless friendship that spiraled into a tangled web of manipulation and betrayal. What starts as a trusted confidant can quickly become a catalyst for deeper hurt, and the line between loyalty and complicity can blur in an instant. Stay with me as we explore how a midnight text led to a shocking revelation that changed everything for one of our listeners. She texted me at midnight, voice shaking, "I need you to see something. It's about my boyfriend." My heart raced as I met her at a quiet coffee shop, expecting a tearful confession. Instead, she slid a printed spreadsheet across the table, every lie he'd told her, complete with screenshots, timestamps, and a detailed plan to expose him publicly. In that moment, I realized I had been an unwitting accomplice, caught between my loyalty to a friend and the murky ethics of revenge. The weight of the evidence pressed heavily on my shoulders. We had been best friends since college, sharing apartments, birthdays, and the deepest secrets. She was my to after every breakup, I was her rock during career crises. Our bond felt unbreakable, forged over cheap wine, late-night study sessions, and endless laughter. When her boyfriend entered the picture, I supported her without question, never suspecting that the storm she was about to unleash would drag both of us into a vortex of deceit. The closeness we cherished became a fragile thread that threatened to snap at any moment. Gradually, her behavior shifted. She began canceling plans without explanation, constantly checking her phone under the table, and her tone grew sharp whenever I asked about her boyfriend. She started keeping a notebook, marking dates and arguments like a calendar. I brushed it off as stress, thinking she was just overwhelmed. I never connected these subtle cues to a deeper deception, and the warning signs slipped through my fingers, leaving me unprepared for the avalanche of betrayal that would soon arrive. When she finally handed me the spreadsheet, the pattern was crystal clear. Her boyfriend had been sending affectionate messages to multiple women, each promising commitment. The most shocking entry was a photo of him holding hands with a woman who lived 2 states away, proof that his lies spanned far beyond what she could have imagined. The betrayal wasn't just hers, it was a network of falsehoods that I had unintentionally helped conceal. The realization hit like a tidal wave, leaving me reeling and questioning my own role in the drama. I confronted her boyfriend with the compiled evidence, and he vanished from the city, leaving behind a trail of apologies that felt hollow. Our friendship fractured irreparably. After a heated argument, we stopped speaking. To heal, I began volunteering at a support group for victims of emotional abuse, using my experience to help others spot red flags before they become scars. The journey taught me the importance of boundaries, self-care, and the power of turning personal pain into a source of compassion for strangers walking a similar path. Our final tale follows a childhood tormentor who transformed from bully to benefactor, showing that redemption can sometimes emerge from the most unexpected places. It's a story of forgiveness, accountability, and the surprising ways the past can reshape our present. Let's travel back to those schoolyard memories and see how they evolved into a chance for healing. Years later, at a charity gala, I spotted a man in a crisp suit reading a name badge that read Founder. He smiled, extended a hand, and said, "Remember when you bought me pizza to stop the bullying?" That changed everything. I froze, the memory of a terrified middle schooler resurfacing. The kid who once tormented me had become the man running a non-profit for underprivileged children. The irony struck hard, but it also opened a doorway to understanding how pain can be redirected into purpose. In middle school, he was the class tormentor, targeting my eyebrows and quiet nature. Desperate for peace, I started slipping him pizza, hoping the trade would buy a truce. Over months, the payments became a strange ritual. Each Friday I asked what he wanted, and the bullying ceased. I thought I'd mastered the situation, never imagining that those small gestures could plant a seed for future compassion. The dynamic was toxic, yet it taught me early on how power and vulnerability can coexist in unsettling ways. I ignored the guilt of enabling his behavior, convincing myself it was a harmless arrangement. When he later accepted a uniform from my aunt for a classmate who couldn't afford it, I felt a pang of compassion but dismissed it as a one-off act. The signs of his deeper struggles, his sudden generosity, the fleeting moments of vulnerability, were hidden beneath a bravado that masked insecurity. I never considered that those glimpses could hint at a future where he might channel his pain into something positive. Years later, while scrolling through a nonprofit's donor list, his name popped up beside a familiar school mascot logo. Curiosity pulled me to his profile, where I read his mission, providing books and educational resources to low-income neighborhoods. His story of growing up in poverty, the same struggles that once fueled his aggression, unfolded before my eyes. The realization clicked. The pizza payments were a tiny spark that eventually ignited a fire of empathy, turning a former bully into a champion for children who faced similar hardships. I reached out, offering my time as a volunteer. He welcomed me without judgment, and together we organized a book drive for my old elementary school. Working side by side, I learned that forgiveness can coexist with accountability, and that sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones who need help the most. This collaboration reshaped my perspective on redemption, and I now focus on building positive legacies, using my past pain as fuel for community growth.